Caliendo cast with Frank Caliendo, John Holmes.
You know what? That's good enough.
The guest on this episode is Bobby Lee. I know him from MADtv. John, you know him from the radio station?
Yeah, we've had him on a ton.
And Scott, have you ever interacted with Bobby Lee before?
I have not.
All right,
Love
actor.
him, though.
Yeah, he's
Racist.
actor, dancer. He bears his soul in this episode once again, which is what he tends to do all over the place, and you'll find out why.
Hey, can we swear on this or what?
You can do whatever you want.
Okay.
I don't want you restricted. I want you to be full Bobby Lee in rhyme. Bobby Lee, be, please.
Mm-hmm.
Can you? I'm going to save it. There's so many questions I have because I haven't seen you for so long. I basically look the same with a more receded hairline, don't I?
No, you've always looked like that to me.
That's what I just said. I look the same.
There's like no difference between 20 years ago and now.
Well, if you go back a little bit, I was pretty fat.
Oh yeah, you were.
There was
You were not fat. You were just more of a circle.
I was spherical,
Yeah.
globe-like.
I was intimidated by you when we first met.
You should be. You should have been. Save this because I think this is important. I think this is good. I mean, I guess we could add in. I just want John to be around so he can ruin it. Do you have anything else today?
No, this is it.
Karate class or teaching one?
That's fucking racist.
Why? Why?
Because it's like, why can't it be like badminton?
Because badminton would be Batman playing badminton?
I don't know how you call it. How do you call it? How do you say it?
Badminton?
Table tennis. Oh shit! There he is. Dr. Ugly is in town. Woo!
Hey, careful. He's real self-conscious about that nowadays, especially in cartoon form.
Oh yeah. Look at his face. Oh my god.
John, are you ready? Did you take your dump? What happened?
Yeah, I did. Are we ready?
Yeah, Bobby was early. Oh god.
Finish your shit.
Let's do this.
Bobby, are you looking? He's not even entertained.
Give me a second. Okay, I'm ready.
All right.
He missed your shirt.
No shirt. I'll do no shirt too. I don't know.
Oh, I snorted.
I showed you. I told you. It's your turn.
No, well, it's not going to be me because we don't need this to be called the Gorilla Cast.
That's what I'm talking about. Scott's
Hey, Frank, did you used to get guys that were like bears that would send you like emails to say how hot you were when you were on?
I did. When I was in Vegas, there were some gay men that really they wrote articles about me and there was pure love. Are you guys all, it's Bobby Lee Kreischer. What's happening? Why? And your nipple rubber.
I'm going to put my shirt back on. It's cold.
Me too. I'm
This
freezing.
is getting weird.
I just want to see if
See,
Scott would
that's why I'm not a
Not me.
follower.
I'm
All right,
still like,
we were talking a little bit before you got here, John. You got in the middle of a pee and realized it was a 2.
it wasn't normal. Yeah, so I just thought, you know what? I'm going to take care of both of these right now.
All right. So Bobby started to talk
Let's
about.
start. Go ahead.
Yeah, we started.
it's already started, man.
The show just kind of goes and it just happens and it's magical. Zero
nipples.
editing, but it always comes together fantastically. So Bobby, the first thing is I haven't seen you face to face for years. We joined MADtv the same year, correct?
Yeah, but you had a different circumstance. I think you were. I had auditioned like 92 times, and you were like, "Would you like to do the show?"
I kind of went in as magical. And
yeah, but you had different rules. Like, you had like different clauses. Like, you didn't have to be there on Fridays, or
no, that was the second and third year. That was
Oh,
I started working on that. The first year, I had 15 episodes the first year because they were so cheap. They wouldn't give you a full season, and I think you had maybe 3 or 5. Was that something?
Yeah, I know. I started with 4, and then like I remember you joined. They're like, "Oh, he has 15? What the fuck?" And then, and then once I mean, we already knew what your skill set was. Like, you're just you're just born with this just God-given talent. And I was always so intimidated by you, like, because I don't really know how to do impressions, or I don't have that kind of skill set. I don't even know how I got on the show, but that's why I was a little intimidated by you. And then your ping pong Your ping pong is so good.
No, you're getting way ahead. You're getting way ahead because the beginning of and it is, but the beginning of MADtv was interesting because people don't realize what that's like. It's not Saturday Night Live-ish where everybody's fighting each other, but it is this weird thing where you're fighting to get more of your own episodes on the show. So you get that first 4 or whatever, and then they don't tell you right away, we're going to pick you up for another 6.
Mm-hmm.
They let you just sit there and wonder. I was under the impression that I was going to get 15 episodes, and then if I did well, I would get the back 10 or whatever it was, back 7. Yeah. And then I got to 15 episodes, and they're like, yeah, we're just gonna hold you out of a few. Then they were cutting me out of episodes so they didn't have to pay me and stuff that I was in, and there would be sketches where there were pieces missing. And I was an important cog, just maybe a few words, but I carried the story. But it just wouldn't make sense because they would cut me out and flash to something else.
Yeah, that was a brutal time for me because I had been sober for 12 years, and I relapsed early on because I can't tell you who, but somebody on the show who's high up just said to me that I just don't think that you're right for the show, and that
let's guess. David Salt.
no, I don't want to get in trouble.
It was
okay. Go ahead.
Rita, the accountant lady.
No, you know what? You want to play this game? I don't give a fuck. It's been fucking 25 years. I don't give a fuck. Play the game. Give me the names, and then I will. Oh. I'm not gonna say yes or no, but
Scott Seitz.
No, you'll know by my face. Go ahead.
I'm trying to think of all the names I've tried to block.
They're more of a creative producer, like more of a writer producer.
Scott King.
There it is.
Was that it? Did you detect
You'll know.
Bruce. Dick Blasucci.
Quincy Jones.
That's it. Somebody Google who. I'm trying to figure out who it was.
Yeah, you'll never know because if you don't say the name, you'll never know.
Toledo, start going through producers on MADtv. I'm trying.
How about this? You know what? Fuck. We'll go back. We'll go back to it. We'll come back to it.
Okay, yeah, because it's really boring right now.
Just say it. Great idea, and I was excited, and then it just never worked.
Yeah. All right. It's not that. I'll tell you who it is. I've never said this out loud.
Yeah.
And also I want to say this is he's one of the
raped you.
What?
He raped you.
Yeah, he sucked my
just add on, Bobby. Add on. Make this the worst confession of all time.
No, he started writing for me a lot later on later in the show, and but he just didn't like. A lot of people didn't like me back then in the beginning.
But you were not good at the beginning, Bobby. You weren't. And I don't mean that as being. It's honestly, you struggled at the beginning. You struggled a lot, and I remember table reads. I don't know if you got nervous or what, but what would happen is when you'd have lines, things would just fall apart, and then they'd put you on screen, and you would crush. So it didn't matter what you did. You just come on, you'd say almost nothing, and all of a sudden there'd be applause breaks from gang members in the audience. Like, I've never been so excited to see somebody this way because you just came in, you were an atom bomb. You just exploded, and I don't know what it was.
Okay,
Bruce McCoy.
What?
Bruce McCoy.
No.
Michael Hitchcock.
Brian Adams.
God damn it! I have to know now.
Brian Adams.
Brian Adams is great and
He's a great guy.
So
I'll tell you what it was.
Jim
I had
Bond.
never really taken an acting class.
that was apparent. I hadn't either. I struggled too. It's all come on.
Okay, and then also I was so nervous and scared, and I knew that I'm more of a performer than a writer.
Mm-hmm.
Although later in the show I was able to come up with stuff that worked for me, but to find my own voice. But I just was so scared, and because I knew that there were certain creative people on the show that didn't really like me, right? I felt desperate, and as soon as I relapsed and I we went on with the show, I just literally didn't want to be there anymore. You know,
Well, I remember episodes where we couldn't find you, right? We would be out on location and nobody would know where you were. And people were like, is Bobby, is he off the wagon, on the wagon? Who knows? And I didn't even understand what was going on because I was too much of an idiot and really narcissistic, but I wasn't worried. But I was thinking, what's going on? He's just not here. I don't know. This is odd. I just thought you were a jerk.
No, no. One time at a table read, I was in Tijuana. I really was. That was
Wait, how did you get there? How did you get to Tijuana? Did you know you were there?
Well, I was trying to get pills, so I was, I went the day before because I used to spend the night in Tijuana, and I used to have sex with prostitutes, and then I would go get a bunch of Valiums, and I would drink.
Wait, Valium or Valium?
Whatever it is, Valium. You
Valium may be a Mexican prostitute. Let him finish.
How do you say it?
Valium.
Hola, me llamo es Valium.
So then one time I was like, I woke up in this hotel room, and I remember getting like 30 messages from producers and my agent and everybody going, where are you? You're supposed to be at Fox or at Hollywood Center Studios doing a table read. And I was in a blackout, you know what I mean? So it's like, that's where I was back then, it was really.
Hey, when you guys got there at the same time, was there any other stand-up comedians as part of this group, or was everyone else like a groundling except for you two?
And I think they picked from the groundlings. Like they wanted groundlings more than anything else. Like I think Saturday Night Live felt more Second City-ish, although they would pull from the groundlings as well. But I felt that MADtv had almost no interest in grabbing stand-ups. I felt like it was right. They weren't even looking for that, because one thing about improv performers that's better than the stand-up performers for that, they've already done it. They've already work those muscles that are totally different than doing stand-up in that situation.
Yeah. I mean, the way I got the show was a miracle. It was, so my manager managed Lauren Dombrowski.
Who was a writer-producer.
He was a writer-producer on the show.
Who did or did not like you?
She loved me.
Okay, she loved you.
I mean, she's the one that got me sober.
Okay.
Yeah, so Lauren, she called Lauren and said, hey, I have a client who's a stand-up.
And you thought she was Lorne Michaels, right? And you thought you were on Saturday Night Live at the time.
I had no idea, you know what I mean?
Okay, can we get you sober?
Yeah. So Lauren goes, we're not looking for, we want Taran Killam. That's who they wanted at the time.
Okay. Young, he was dating Amanda Bynes. He was like 18 years old or something like
young. That. And but Lauren goes, he can audition just to practice, I guess, because I'd never really auditioned for a show like that before. So I went in there thinking that I'm just going to go in there and just do this audition. But then what happened was the casting director, Nicole Garcia, I wrote some stuff up and she just kind of went, 90% of that was really bad, but that thing that you did was really good. That 10% thing. And so then she goes, come back next week and then we'll just see, come up with something else. So I would go back the next week and then come up with something else. And she would be like, that was good. And for some reason, she just kept calling me back. I went in honestly, 8 or 9 times. But then by the 8th or 9th time, there was more people in the room. And I was like, what the fuck? Am I going to get this? It was a fucking fluke. And so when I got the show, I was just like, I don't understand why I'm on the show, because I don't have the skill set.
So you don't even know what you're going to do on the show at that point. You're like, I don't know how I fit in here. And then when somebody says to you, you don't fit in here, that goes right into your own thinking.
Oh my God. It was devastating. I mean, it felt like my dad died in August, and it felt that bad.
Wow.
August, he passed away this August, not back then.
Yeah.
Did he die of the coronavirus?
Oh, was he the first patient? Is what Scott asked.
You son of a bitch. He
No,
died
no,
of
no, no.
Bird
I
flu,
know
SARS, and
Koreans.
AIDS, buddy.
Look,
Oh
I
my
know
God.
Koreans hate Chinese. So they're much more racist about the Chinese, Koreans are, than even Americans. Am I not right or am I wrong? Where do you stand on that, Bobby?
First of all, Bobby's an American. Bobby, you're American.
Well
I know.
done, Frank.
I-
Well
But,
played.
but people don't judge you as an American, even though you grew up in America. Like if you Wikipedia Bobby and say, what's your nationality? Let's just say I did that. It said American. It says American from San Diego. How
Yeah,
much
yeah.
more American is that, right?
Yeah, I mean, my dad. Okay, I have to be honest. Koreans are fucking racist as fuck, and
Oh,
Yeah.
I
When
find
I was-
that about almost all. I have friends that are Indian I play table tennis with. And they're
yeah,
like, oh, we're all racist. We hate
Yes.
everybody else.
yeah.
Like that honesty is not out there. Like it's all put on white people. A lot of white people are definitely racist.
Yeah.
But it seems like all cultures are basically racist against everybody. But
Yes.
not them anyways.
Yeah,
Yes.
my dad made me a list of the 100 best ethnicities. From one.
Oh my!
Oh, he did.
Where's this book?
I mean, I should write it down. And I think number one was Korean, and then it went like Japanese, and then it
Yeah.
went snake, was third. Cockroach was fourth, right? Then Mexicans, and then after the list, like it was a list of 100. I go, Dad, where's black people? And he goes, oh, I don't. They weren't even on it. So
they're not, they didn't crack the top 100.
yeah, they didn't crack the 100.
Oh, that's
But,
amazing.
yeah, so my dad, I think my parents were more racist toward the jungle Asians.
Ah.
Yeah.
What did you just take a bite of secretly?
A protein bar.
That's a hidden.
you can
You don't go off the screen and then come
Yeah,
back.
you're fine to eat protein bars, whatever you want. Eat on camera. We want to
Unless it's a
see.
bat, unless
All right.
it's a goddamn bat. Like we're
Yeah.
not-
Or it's not. As long as it's not a granola bar from a wet market, we're okay with that.
I can't get past that we skipped right over the fact that during table reads, Bobby was with prostitutes in Tijuana. I want to
Well, I
know
wanna-
more of that.
Yeah, I wanted to get back to that.
Yeah, circle back. Because your audition, when Dino Stamatopoulos, is that the guy that hated you?
No,
Ah, come on. I'm running down all the lists of people on the thing.
you're almost there.
But you
So,
were it's getting alphabetically closer. But yeah, you go down for prostitutes in Tijuana. What's wrong with prostitutes in Los Angeles?
Well, I mean, at the time, it's like if you wanted a prostitute in Los Angeles, it would probably cost you like $600, right? Like
The
Right.
high-end,
a
but
nice
you could get a cheap one.
No, but I my level, I'm very specific. So, yeah, I do. I like hot chicks. So, but in Tijuana, it would be like $80.
Oh, okay. For something decent in your eyes.
Also, I want to say this is that I think I was an incel,
Okay.
right? So I was kind of unfuckable before doing stand-up at the age of 23. So when I was 17 years old is when I started going to Tijuana and getting prostitutes, because I always thought to myself that nobody finds me attractive and nobody wants to have sex with me. So I resorted to that. So that was just a part of my lifestyle at the time. I mean, when I did stand up, it got much better, but then it was also kind of an addiction too. So, obviously I haven't had one in many years.
Yeah. Were you a violent incel? Were you close to a manifesto and a chat with the law?
No, I wasn't Elliot Rodgers, but but I'm a big fan of his work. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. I hate that guy. I hate him. He's a bad guy. But no, I didn't know manifesto, but I always felt like angry, just an angry kind of weird little Korean guy in San Diego that like had a lot of resentment toward women. And, I was molested when, I've told you this before. That was
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, have you?
Very young. So I think just because of my
How many
dad.
times have you told that story though? That we're gonna skip over but I've heard you on different things telling the story about your childhood. And have you had to tell that? Do people always want you to tell that story? And you can go, I think you were just on Michael Rosenbaum's and talked about that as well. And even you talked about it with us back when we had the Podfathers years and years ago.
Yeah.
Is that one of the things people always want you to talk about?
Yeah.
Okay. Go. So I'm sorry. Just wondering that was
Yeah.
you want to talk about it now?
Here's another revelation that I've had that I've slowly been honest about is that even as a little kid, I would just suck my friends' dicks.
Finally, you and Frank have something in common. It's been so long. Like Frank didn't want to come in on Fridays at MADtv for that very reason. He was tired of seeing it.
I mean, there was a kid at school that would like, we'd be at a party and he'd go, come here and suck my dick. And I would like go behind a bush and suck his dick. You know what I mean? So I was just like, also I was on drugs as well. So
that's why?
No, that's not why. I think that along with, I don't know if you know this, but my dad was
made a list of the best cocksuckers.
Did you make it? Did you make that list?
Yeah, you were in the top 100. Actually, a black guy beat Bobby, which is amazing for his dad to write down.
No, I want to say something because I haven't told you this yet, Frank. And I'm glad we're talking about this.
Yeah, the answer is no.
Is my father?
You can't.
My father, ever since I was a little kid, he used to beat us with like golf clubs and stuff. Like I remember one time when I was like 7 years old.
What club was it? Can I ask? I mean, was it putter?
The putter. Yes.
Was it driver?
Good flat face one. That's a good. I like that.
So I remember when I was 7, my mom ran into my room at like 2 or 3 in the morning, and she opened her mouth and all her teeth were missing, and she was crying. Oh. And then I remember my brother and I and my mom barricading the door because my dad was coming in because he was in a drunken rage, and he beat the shit out of us. And that was something that happened all the time. So you have to think that with that kind of trauma, and then also being molested, and then also doing drugs. I mean, I did drugs because of the trauma and because I didn't want to feel anymore because I was such a miserable kid.
Well, it starts to make I feel like Dr. Phil, it starts to make a lot of sense why you became who you are. It also explains that haircut.
Yeah. So, and I always used, I could have become like my dad, a rageaholic, but what I never wanted to become like him. Although I did, drink like he did, but I always used humor as a defense mechanism, and I think that was without humor and comedy, I think I would have been dead a long time ago because it was.
Bobby, I just want to say this is almost exactly my life. It is.
It is.
Simply, oh no, the part about I would not be honest enough to admit that I've sucked some guy's dick. I wouldn't go that far. But
I think you just said that. I think you just.
I don't know. Who knows? So maybe I've repressed it. But my dad was so abusive, and would beat my mom and beat me, and we weren't rich enough to have golf clubs. That would have been the only difference. We didn't have that kind of money, to have golf clubs. So I hear this, and I know comedy is the reason that I'm sane. Basically. And I never felt like connected until I probably got in college or something. And got away from my home. So did you feel like, when did you start doing stand-up?
I started doing stand-up at 23, and it was weird the way it happened. I was just walking down the street really, and I saw a sign at the Comedy Store in La Jolla, which is in San Diego, and it said, we need barbacks, like help wanted, we need barbacks or doormen. So I just knocked on the door during the day, and this guy named Fred Burns, who was the manager at the time, he said, what do you want? And I go, hey,
blowjob.
I'm here for the job. And I just started barbacking at a comedy club. And then I think that, subconsciously, and I had thought about it, comedy, but I was way too afraid to do it. But one time I was
that's what you were afraid to do?
Yeah. Now the fear sets in.
Yeah. Why couldn't you be afraid on so many other things?
Well, he wasn't going to be a caddy.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, Bobby, this is a total side note, but maybe you guys talked about it before, but I want to do a sketch right now of you as Margaret Cho Exotic.
That is perfect.
I will not. I fucking will. That was a very funny joke, though.
Thank you.
Because I am her.
Oh no.
What was it? So that's how I did stand up. But here's the thing, dude, is that
wait, before you go on, how good were you when you first started stand up, as opposed to you had difficulty at MADtv? How good were you at stand up? Was that natural to you, or did it take a little bit of time?
No, I mean, I started at 23, and then by the time I was 29, I did Jay Leno.
Wow.
Yeah, so in that, pretty quick, I guess, from San Diego, not knowing.
I started at 25, and by 26, I was on Comedy Central. So.
And do we have to clarify what you mean by did Jay Leno? Because the whole stuff is
Hey, Bobby, come over here in the green room for a second. I got to say, have you ever played Margaret Cho erotic? Have you ever done that? Have you done that? Yeah? Hey, try that, huh? Hey, I really like it. I want to give you a middle part. How's that, huh? Hey, why do you think I got this little skunk thing going through my hand?
No, I mean, I don't know if I was good in the beginning, but here, the one thing I was fearless. And then also, I don't know what it is. I guess I didn't know this about myself, but I was a little weird and different than all the other people. And, Pauly Shore and Carlos Mencia, those are the two guys that they saw me within my first 2 years of doing stand-up, and they immediately basically said, "Can you open for me on the road?" And so I just started opening for those two guys on the road in the late 90s, So that's
so that comes about like, "Hey, buddy, you want to come look at ladies for me?"
Yeah. I mean, it was more like, dude, you're like weird up there, dude. Like, I've never seen anybody like you, dude. And that was kind of basically what it was. And then Carlos, I don't know why he liked me, but he did. And so I just started opening for both of those guys. And I got good because I was able to perform in front of two different kinds of crowds. Carlos had this like kind of gang-bangy Mexican kind of a crowd. And then Pauly had like aloof, stonery, party type whites, white people. So it was like two different kinds of crowds that I learned in front of them. But I want to get back to my dad and stuff and about the trauma is that, I don't know if you know this, but in August, when my dad died, I relapsed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 17 years of sobriety. And what ended up happening was I lost. So I was only smoking pot, but what happened was I couldn't eat and I couldn't sleep. And at the same time, I was doing a game show for CBS. It was like an athletic game show with me, Rob Gronkowski, and Venus Williams.
Well, yeah.
And two of those three make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Why is Venus Williams on it? You're right, Frank. A woman? What
was it? Venus, Gronk, and it? What was it?
No, it's not out yet. It's coming out. It's basically James.
No, it's not.
It might not, yeah, but James Corden produced the show called Game On. It was with Keegan was the host.
Keegan-Michael Key.
Yeah, Keegan-Michael Key. And it was Gronk and I versus Venus, and another comic, Ian Carmel. And basically, we have a third guest every episode, and we compete in these elaborate physical games, where you're climbing up like a wall, or, you're on
So the show is called Let's Embarrass Bobby Lee.
Yeah, it was fucking, but here's the thing. I couldn't eat or sleep. Like, if I put food in my mouth, I would vomit it. And I thought I was dying because when my dad died, I didn't cry at all. I was in the room when he died. And so I was like,
was this in Arizona, or was this? Where did he live?
He died in Arizona, and then as soon as he died, the next week I had to shoot the show.
Okay.
Wow.
So then I for a month I was shooting the show, and I was just high 24 hours a day, not be able to eat or sleep. And then I had ideas of like, I think I'm gonna kill myself. Like, I wanted to fucking kill myself, and everyone was.
Bobby, did Gronk try to hook you up with Aaron Hernandez to help you with this problem?
No, that's funny. Great documentary. But
Hey, by the way, in terms of the CBS game show and stuff like that, I know it's tough a week later, but you do know that Brett Favre played a game the night his dad passed away, right?
Yeah, that's right. He was great.
He was
was
fantastic.
he really? Yeah.
Just so you know, there's just a difference between athletes and actors.
And I'm not so sure Brett and his dad had the same relationship Bobby and his dad did.
Right?
I think
sounds a
actually
little
Bobby
different.
may have had a better relationship with Brett Favre's father than he did his own.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah.
So, so then I was like, I couldn't eat or not any of that. So then what happened was I was started expressing these ideas of like in front of my girlfriend and stuff, like, I just don't want to live,
And you always have beautiful girlfriends, like way above you. Like they're above even me. So you always have like beautiful, like everybody always goes, oh, Bobby doesn't know he's gay. And then you'll have a beautiful lady next to you and they'll be like, this is the biggest falsehood. Like, see,
everybody, I think Bobby knows he's gay. The girlfriend doesn't.
Yeah.
But you know what? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Bobby, when I was doing my research on you, about 10 seconds in, I see this photo of Google Images, and I'm like, who the hell is this? And it's the name. What's your lady's name?
Kalila.
Oh, my Lord. So then I just looked her up and spent like 10 minutes on her. And I don't really know much about you, but I know a lot about her. And I'm a fan. I am a big fan. Wow.
Yeah, she's upstairs right now. But here's what happened. So I went and saw a therapist, and then when the therapist asked me what's going on, and I talked about my dad and about the abuse, that once I left that therapy session, I was able to eat again. And then the next week I went back, and then as the therapy went on, I was able to sleep and eat. And so I realized that there was a connection between my dad's physical abuse to me and the physical things that were going on with my body. And so I had to go to a place in Arizona.
Did you recognize that yourself, or did a therapist help you figure that out?
The therapist did.
Okay.
But then what made me recognize it, though, is that I couldn't believe that once I started talking about this trauma, that I felt at least a little lighter, And so I went to a place in Arizona called PCS, and I spent 2 weeks there doing hardcore therapy. It's trauma therapy. I do EMDR and all this stuff. And so I got sober again there. And also I'm doing heavy trauma therapy about my past. And my life has been night and day. I mean, it was literally a life saver. So
Bobby, did you and your dad kind of have a reconciliation as an adult?
Yeah.
You had a better relationship, obviously. After.
Yeah. I mean, he did MADtv. He was on like 2 or 3 sketches.
That's more than I was on for a while.
Yeah.
Was it like a Tiger Woods sketch? He had a golf club that could have sent you right out of the studio.
And if they wouldn't have let you play Tiger Woods, they're like, we got somebody better for Tiger Woods.
He was always there, during rehearsal going, we need somebody for Tiger's dad. I'll do it. Oh, God, Bobby's dad's here again. Just couldn't wait to get the clubs in.
Yeah. No, he did I did a pilot, too, for Comedy Central. He was in that. And then we would visit him, and it was like a completely different guy, when he was older. But
did he ever apologize? Did he ever talk to you?
No, he never did.
Never.
And I also pushed it down. So I just thought, my dad's changed. It was in the past. And I just never really even thought about it. But then when he died, and I was in the room and I didn't cry at all. I just stared at him. I mean, he took his last breath, and I just kind of looked, and my brother and my mom were just wailing, and
your mom stayed with him?
What?
Your mom stayed with him?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Is that a cultural thing too? Do you think that's part of?
It's pretty cultural. Yeah. My mom has been like a in-house nurse for the last 15 years.
So she's a saint.
Yeah.
I love my mom. Yeah, she's amazing. So now I have 4.5 months of sobriety again, and I'm doing this deep trauma therapy every week, and so my life is it's been a fucking crazy year, man. It's from, that to, I was on a show last year, it got canceled, and then
What was that show?
Splitting Up Together. It was with Jenna Fisher. It was okay, but
you've been doing a lot of. I mean, you've been the Hawaii Five-0, and you're getting some real. I mean, to think about, that's the amazing thing to me. I go back to MADtv and watching you at the beginning of MADtv and going, this guy's not going to be here another week.
yeah.
No, really, and a lot of us would talk about that. I mean, I'm sure other people, if they haven't, I'll let you know now. But people would be like, "What's going on with Bobby?" It's like he doesn't want, and you're confirming that, like he doesn't want to be here. You didn't. You were on, on substances, all sorts of stuff going on. You had a home life, but like people didn't know you weren't this open back then. It's amazing to hear you in different places now because you were kind of. I don't know. People didn't know that much about you. I don't want to call you a mystery. I think I was probably more of a mystery than you were, but you had a crazier past. I had a pretty normal upbringing, Midwestern type of upbringing, but you had all these, my dad, I could hit a home run in a game and my dad would be like, why didn't you hit two? That's the worst it got for me. I'm not getting beaten by the bat afterward.
Yeah.
You think you have it bad until you hear what some other people go through. But at that time, back at MADtv, I remember people going, other people would say, I don't know why he's here, that because you would struggle so much in some of those table reads. But then to see how much you've grown and you do, I mean, acting in actual real TV shows that I couldn't get. So I look at that and go, wow, that's fantastic. I wish I'd been beaten as a child.
You should have blown more guys, Frank. Blowing guys is the answer.
I should have been in Tijuana with some hookers.
And Bobby.
Well,
Bobby, what do people say about Frank at MADtv while they're busy talking about you and you're not around? What had happened when Frank wasn't around? Because he was the aloof one in his own office, right?
I think that because Frank is so talented that I think some people complained about, well, we know that he's great, but like, why does he get this specific? Because I remember you had to go not shoot on Fridays because you were able to go on the road.
No, I got out of the show. I was able to get out of doing the show to do the NFL on Fox because Fox had a part of it. I just didn't want to be there. I wanted them to get rid of me, but they wouldn't get rid of me. So they kept me on the show and I was miserable and I didn't really care who knew about it, but everybody knew because I just didn't talk to anybody. I showed up one year with a son and people were like, wait a second, you have, who's this? Like, my son, Joey. They're like, you had a baby? Like, yeah, the only person that knew was Jennifer Espinal, the makeup lady, because she's a witch and she figured it out mentally.
Yeah. So that was the vibe. It was like, I think maybe some had maybe not resentment, but like would be like, why does Frank get this kind of treatment? But other than that, I always liked you, Frank. I think you and I have always.
Oh yeah, a lot of fun. I mean, the other thing with the thing with me getting out of episodes too is I really did not want to be there, so I did everything in my power. And part of it was because they screwed me over the first year, and I held a grudge when they did that thing where they spread out the 15 over the full year instead of doing like everybody else where they would add more after you were done. Yeah. They made sure I didn't do the whole season, and then I was like, I got to figure out every way I can to not do this. And then when they wanted me to come back after my 5 years, I was like, well, I'll come back on 2 days a week. I'll do one rehearsal. And they wanted to do that. And I go, and I'll only do George Bush and no John Madden. And they're like, and they wanted me to do Madden too. And I was like, no, I don't want to do it. And I just eventually said, no, thanks. I had it down to 1 day, full pay for 1 day. It was almost a Daryl Hammond kind of deal.
Yeah.
I just didn't, they didn't even want me to do George W. Bush. They had everybody audition. I think even they tried you as George W. Bush before me. And you're like, I'm George W. Bush.
You know what they made me do? When you were gone, I get a call. Hey, Bobby, Fox wants you to play John McCain. I go, I'm not going to play John McCain. And they go, why? Because my people tortured him. That's why he's here. And then look it up online. Look up Bobby Lee as John McCain.
Oh, I've seen it. I've seen it. That is so much makeup.
I know.
They tried to de-Asian you, which I think is more racist.
Is that whiteface? That's assimilation, isn't it?
Yeah, it was, man. It was crazy.
How much
think
did
the
you wish, when
outrage-
you look back, how much did you wish there was CGI back then?
Oh, so much. But you know what, Frank? I do really miss. There's parts of me that really misses it.
Yeah, I don't have.
I
any
do,
other
man. I
point.
miss that show. I miss being around those people. And
They were great. They were great. They're great people. The people don't realize how many, especially as they came in, Jordan Peele, Keegan-Michael Key, Ike Barinholtz, some people that, it was funny because after MADtv, right after MADtv, nothing happens for people. When people do MADtv, they go away for a little bit and you don't hear from them for quite a while. And there are people from MADtv that are just as good, just as big as stars that are at Saturday Night Live. Saturday Night Live just gets all the credit, and because it's live and it's the powerhouse of the network. But people like Nicole Sullivan and all these talented people, Alex Borstein, it took years. And now there's like this growth of all the MADtv people who are kind of disappeared for a little while, and everybody is doing something. Not everybody, I'm not, but most other people.
yeah, you are, dude. You're fucking the king.
Yeah, it's true. But there's, I mean, people doing lots of big things that didn't originally happen. Like even Brian Callen. Brian Callen has been around forever. And now in the last few years, he's as big, if not bigger than anybody. He's in movies with major stars in scenes with them.
Yeah. But I think what I've thought about this before, and you know, MADtv's audience were kids. Right. And what happened was when we left the show, the industry didn't want any of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
But all those kids that were raised with us, right? They all became, you know,
criminals,
business,
drug addicts.
No, because I've done jobs like you think that like I do Magnum PI, right? Not Hawaii 5-0, but I do
sorry.
And I didn't mean showrunner, one of the not showrunner, but
they all look alike, Frank.
But one of the guy, one of the producers was a huge MADtv fan, you know. And when I do jobs all the time, and they go, "Oh, I grew up watching you," you know. So it's like those people, kids that you know that loved us growing up, we're a part of their lives. They're now in positions of power. I think that has a lot to do with it. Also.
Yeah. You're still intimidated by me because you didn't correct me right away on the Hawaii 5-0. So I'm still proud to be.
No, because people fucking say that all the time. I don't give a fuck, man. Who gives a fuck about Hawaii 5-0, man? I don't give a fuck about it.
This is another actress who, Stephanie Weir, somebody tweeted this the other day. How was Stephanie Weir? And you tweeted immediately, the best person on the show, but maybe even by far. And she is incredible. Like Stephanie Weir would do stuff and you watch her and you go, I don't even know how she's doing. She's closing one eyelid halfway. Who can do that?
I know. She is so talented. She's the one person on the show that I just never had a relationship with.
I don't think she once turned to me and said, "What do you watch on TV, Frank?" And I was like, "Law and Order, SVU." It was like all these, and she goes, "Oh, you have a death fetish too." Cool. And then she went on. She said like 2. So she did as well. Just wondering if I would watch all, because I don't like watching comedy. I don't enjoy it. I don't know it feels like it's at work. So I like to watch acting and drama and interesting stuff in those ways.
Yeah. But she, I mean, obviously, Frank, you're super talented. And I thought you got offended for a second, but no. You know, I said that because I wanted to like me still so bad.
You want her to like you so bad?
Yeah, I really do. I want her for some reason, like, because, you know, Mike McDonald didn't like me at all for the first 5 years, right? 6 years. In fact, we didn't become friends until the show was over.
Well, so I think that Michael probably looked at you and went, he's not at, like, I think he looked at me the same way and goes, he's not at this level. He's not a good actor. He shouldn't be. Like, I would never get written into a Michael McDonald sketch and I would always go, I'm not good enough. I just know.
Well, do you think that's because when he's at the Groundlings, he's looking at you and he's like, I know 3 people better and more prepared.
Yes. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, they have friends, but Michael later on in life, just, you know, we became friends, have dinner, and we would hang out, and he, you know, he slowly he realized, I guess, what my skill set is, you know, and then he was able to appreciate that, you know, and that's how we're friends. In fact, I'm friends with. I still talk to a lot of people. Jordan, I talked to him a couple days ago, and
I heard you were almost in Us as the daughter.
No. How amazing, though. It's like when he won the Oscar, I literally fucking cried, man. It was just like to come from, because I remember when he had no furniture in his apartment, right? He would smoke pot 24 hours a day. He had really no girlfriend. He had no car, right? And he was just like this high black guy that I knew from MADtv. He's my friend. You know what I mean? And then for him to win that Oscar, it literally it's just like an alternate reality almost. It was like, oh my God. I just started crying, was so happy for him. And
so you cried when he won the Oscar, but your dad dying, nothing. Your priority.
Yeah, because Jordan never beat me, man.
Yeah. He beat you to the Oscar.
Yeah. But, and even Ike, seeing Ike, in movies and stuff like that, and the TV shows, it makes me so proud. I don't really get envious of them. I get envious of more SNL people, I think.
Why is that?
Because I remember leaving Mad and not getting anything, like no interest from really anybody. And then it's like when I would audition after MADtv, it would be like a cattle call, you know what I mean? Where I'd have to go to a lobby and there'd be like 1,000 people there. And then in my head, I'm like, I'm not going to get this fucking thing.
Yeah. Do you guys think do you think MADtv actually made it harder to get stuff?
I'm not going to say what casting director, but she was one of the biggest ones in the country. She told my agent, because my agent tells me everything. And she said, basically, he's from Mad, he's not going to get this movie.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And you would get notes like that. And then it was just frustrating. But
I remember hearing, before you go, Mo Collins, they would always, who's fantastic, brilliant. And they'd always just call her a sketch actor. Yeah, she's
the best.
And they would just call her a sketch actor from MADtv and be like, no, she's incredible. She's insanely talented. In fact, she's one of the people that you watch a lot of these sketch actresses now. They're doing Mo Collins. They're kind of doing what she started, and she's kind of Carol Burnett-ish. So she's the bridge between Carol Burnett and Kristen Wiig and people like that. Like that was Mo Collins was that person before, but because she was MADtv, there was this little stigma around her, and it was like people can't get stuff. Sasso was always getting development deals.
Yeah,
but that was the other reason I kind of got out of that. Now I pigeonhole myself into sports, which hurt me in a different way. But MADtv for me was like, this just seems they're playing this wrong the whole time. I'm sorry I cut you up, but that just
no. That's that's pretty much what it is. It's like, but you, Frank, I think, I don't know why you should come to LA more often.
It's far, and there's a worse virus there. So
I know, but I just can't. But the thing is that you're a good actor yourself.
I've gotten better. I wasn't that good back then. I've gotten.
But look at me, dude. I fucking suck.
No, you're better.
I know I'm better, right? But it's like I had to learn, right, by doing it, right?
Well, a big piece of it is learning how to audition, because you have to get in front of the people, and you just have to be. I'm a killer in a meeting. I destroy in a meeting.
Yeah.
Because I can make fun of the executives. I don't care. It's hurt me at times, but I'll just say stuff to them like their friends are like, how's this guy talking to me? Give him something. But then I go to a casting director and I get kind of stiff and a little bit more wooden, and I don't have fun. And if you don't have fun, and you just have to do so many auditions, unless you've done so much acting. And that's part of the podcast. The reason I do the podcast is just get out there and talk and be more me. But you just get to that point where you're like, I don't give a shit anymore. And you go into the audition and you just go, if I get it, if not. That's how I've gotten everything I've ever done is like, I don't care. Whatever. They're like, what do you mean you don't care? Come back tomorrow. We also got Bobby Lee coming in, and he's really trying. We're just going to make fun of him the whole time.
But what's helped me though is that I used to go into auditions and live in the results, right? So I would go, if I don't do well here, right, I'm not going to get this, right? And that would always fuck me up.
And they don't tie together any way, shape.
They don't try to get it. You could kill it in there and not get it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can be terrible in there and get it. It's
So
just,
what's the role that started you on a role to get other things?
what it was, so after MADtv for many, many years, I couldn't even get an audition. And then so I started having this PTSD from auditioning because I used to like.
Wait a second. You're fine with the stuff with your dad, but then auditions?
No, but what
kept him up at night. He had to go out to the bushes and blow strangers to get back to the
no. But
That would actually work in Hollywood. Can you say Bobby Lee Weinstein?
But they're all related because, whenever a stressful situation or a scary situation occurs, my body freezes. And it's all connected to my dad. When my dad used to beat the shit out of us, I would freeze. It's fight or flight, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or freeze, and I would freeze. That was my defense mechanism, right? So when I would have a bad audition or when I felt weird in the room and I got scared, I would clam up and freeze, right? But so what I had to realize is that I have to go in. I have to go in because if I don't go in, I'm not going to get anything, right? So you have to try, right? And then one day I went in, and the Russo brothers.
Yeah.
Well, the Russo brothers, they used to, be sitcom guys. I don't know if you know that, but
I didn't.
they did Community.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the Russo brothers had a show called Animal Practice they were doing.
Oh.
Yeah, and I got a call. The Russo brothers want to see you for this, but they're gonna see 1,000 guys. And I go, I don't want to go in. I don't want to go. I'm not gonna get it. I'm not gonna get it. And I don't know what happened. It's just I went, fuck it, you have to try it. So one morning, I showed up at Paramount. It was raining, and there was like 1,000 people in the room. And I walked in, and for some reason or another, I just felt okay being in the room. And as soon as I said 3 things, Anthony Russo stopped me. And he said, stop. And I thought he was going to say, get the fuck out of here. But he goes, just stay there right there. He goes, do you want to do the show? And I go, yeah. And he picks up the phone and he calls the president of NBC in front of me. And he goes, hey, I want this kid, Bobby Lee. And the guy goes, okay. And he hung up the phone and he goes, all right, you got it.
Yeah.
And
you were really good on that. You were really good on that show. I thought that show was pretty good.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
Scott was the one who watched Animal Practice. So.
Yeah. But I remember
the dude from Weeds, right? It was the dude from Weeds.
Yeah. He's great.
And now you're going to be in the next Avengers.
Yeah, it's a big jump.
But you know what? Here's the thing is that because of podcasting, and I'm now being seen for like big thing, like these huge movies, like there was like Aquaman or any Marvel movie or these movies. I go in and read for these.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's all because of the success of Tiger Belly and Bad Friends. Like, there's been a new kind of resurgence, and it's because of this thing, which is kind of cool. You know what I mean? I was able to buy this house. I'm in a new house now because of podcasting, and my road numbers are great, and things.
How did you start the podcast?
Well, I was always good on, like, I figured out how to do, even doing this fucker's radio show or
the name's in the bottom left corner.
Yeah, I know your name, but I refuse to memorize it. And
that's okay, Kyla.
Yeah.
What happened was years ago, I did Opie and Anthony. This is like 12 years ago. And when I walked in there, it was Greg Giraldo, Patrice O'Neill, Jim Norton. And I walked in there, and they ripped me apart so badly that 10 minutes in, I just stood up and I left the fucking place, right? Wow. Because I was like, oh my God. So then the following year, I was playing Caroline's again, and it was a part of my itinerary to go into Opie and Anthony, and I said, I don't want to go in. And they said, you have to, your numbers are shit. So I decided to go in with guns a-blazing. right? And to reveal things about myself so that they couldn't make fun of me. And so I went in there and I just started ripping myself apart and kind of ripping them apart. And then that's how I was, and then it crushed it. And
now, is that how you started breaking out? And like, I don't mean it's going to come out totally wrong, and that's half on purpose. But when you're on podcasts and radio shows, it's almost like a therapy session, and you're so authentic and real, and you tell stuff. That's the first time that happened?
yes.
Okay.
I was just be honest and in there, because it's like, you know, I was always trying to be somebody else or trying to be, you know, the image of a comedian. And I just kind of went, you know, just do what you do. Just be you. Who cares?
Well, John talks about that all the time on the radio, like the guests.
Yeah, the best guests in the world, and Bobby, you're one of them, is just somebody that comes in that's going to be themselves, open book. You never know what's going to happen, but you know it's real. You don't bring notes to do your new material.
Yeah.
You're always funny, and you're always like real, and that's easy. And you and I can go back and forth for 40 minutes in a blink of an eye, and you get it. And those are the ones that you're like, man, that's just that you do my job for an hour because it's easy and none of it is forced. And that's the key to being a good guest. And I think that leads, like, that's the domino that gets you to the next 5 places. Is once you're comfortable being you, it's easy.
Yeah, I mean, and also I have to give you a compliment. When I go to Arizona, you're the only show I want to do. You know, there's like maybe 5 or 6 places where I really look forward to going because I know that it's up my alley. And you guys are like friends. I feel like you're my friend. You know, so
who are those other shows that you like to do?
I have to say, well, obviously I still do Opie and stuff, and then I do when I go to his name splits, but when I go to Cleveland, I go to a place.
Rover.
I love Rover. That's him.
Yeah, so much that you don't know his name. Good.
Because
you know, Doogie and I, we had Bobby Lee in the other day, and he took off his shirt and his pants came off, and Mikey Dirtyface enjoyed himself.
Yeah, like Rover is another one like, you know, like me, who's like one of the greatest guys. I like Paul too in Miami. You know Paul Castronova. Yeah, he's one of the best. So like, you know, by doing the road, I've developed relationships with these radio stations. But
you do Randy Bauman? You do Bauman show?
Yeah. And so by doing that, I figured out what works best for me, and then I just apply that to my podcast, and it seemed to something click. You know, the kind of audience that I have now is completely different than the MADtv audience that I had. You know.
Now, Bobby, you just made a list of your favorite radio shows. Were any of them black, or you still like your dad? That face. Not one black radio show, Bobby.
I bet Bobby's dad's face looked just like that.
Somebody
he was
asked
angry, like he was going to take the club out.
No, that's not a fair question. I'll tell you why.
It wasn't a question.
I know, but when you go on the road, right? You know, it's like people set up radio interviews for you that think that they don't think that my audience is black, so they don't book me in like.
Do it.
What?
Yeah, they don't do it. I deal with those comedians all the time. They're like, man, they're taking me to this. They don't know me. They don't know anything, and they'll either place them in a situation they don't belong, or take them out of one they could do well in, just based on what the parameters they've put on you.
Hey, I've been brought into stations before that I just don't culturally match up with, and I don't even know they're saying hello to me. I don't like, I'm that lost.
Oh, that's great.
Like I just freeze, and I can't do the thing where the white guy pretends to be cool, and I can't do that. So I don't. So I just go, listen, you guys are going to have to explain. And then they have kind of fun with that, but they only want to deal with me for so long because they know that I'm a lost soul. So they're like, okay, I'll do a little thing and move on. But it's a hip hop station I just struggle at. I just always have. And I tried to make some efforts and realized, you know what? I'm faking it. I'm faking it to try and fit in here. So I won't, because their style of humor on a lot of the stations, and they could be white guys. I'm not saying they just don't. Their timing is all different. Everything they're doing, and they'll be in the middle of a bit, and they'll start doing a prank phone call during your bit, and you're like, I don't fit in. I don't fit in here, JV. You know.
I did a show about maybe 11 or 10 years ago, and I still have nightmares about it. It was a show in San Jose, and it was with Chappelle, Cat Williams. It was maybe 12 years ago, Carlos Mencia. But I remember following Leslie Jones, and it was in front of 20,000 people, and she got a standing ovation, and it was an urban room, and and when I went up there, I was supposed to do 20 minutes. I did 33 seconds, and then I blacked out, and all of a sudden I ended up backstage going, "What the fuck happened?" And they said, "You ate it worse than we've ever seen anyone eat it." And it was that traumatizing. It was like, I just remember people just going, "Boo, fuck you," and I
Like
was,
that? That doesn't.
Yeah. What was your opening joke? How can someone hate you that fast?
I don't know what it is. I think I let it get in my head because it was more in my head. I'm like, this is this is not your crowd. I maybe intimidated my own self. But then a week later, I had to do the same lineup somewhere else, and I crushed it.
That's weird.
It was in Irvine.
What are you eating? It's so weird how you eat like you're trying, like it's like you're hoarding that, like no one can have it. His hands don't do normal things. He eats like he's eating out of the garden.
Like a gerbil.
Yeah.
Like rotate.
Frank, is
What
your
number-
daughter going to do stand-up?
What was that?
Is your daughter going to do comedy?
I don't know. I think she could do sketch. I think she'd be pretty good sketch, although she would pretty much feel like everybody else is beneath her. That might be a struggle.
Yeah.
Hey, put on your glasses again. Put on your glasses for a second, because I just wanted you to do the joke for the guys. Because
So when I bought these glasses, my girlfriend called me. We were in an elevator in Hawaii, and my girlfriend called me Robert Downey syndrome.
That's hilarious. Bobby, what is your most normal childhood memory? When you think back of Bobby Lee as a kid, with all the trauma and stuff you open up, what's the first thing that comes to mind? You're like, that was pretty normal. And it's like a happy, great memory, or a good, great memory.
I don't know.
Nothing?
I mean, I remember. No, not really. No.
You don't have a single one?
I'm being fucking honest with you, dude.
Wow.
Yeah.
I really don't have one.
Sean, I got about two.
Yeah,
So,
I know,
mean,
but usually there's
I got about
that
two. So,
moment.
no, I'm just, and but Bobby had said, Frank, do you think your daughter would do stand-up? And stand-ups usually come from damaged places where Frank's like, yeah, she could probably do sketch. Sketch people seem so much more grounded. Maybe that's why they call them the groundlings. I don't know. But it's one of these situations where, like, that's why I feel like on these sketch shows, there's never any darkness to them. There's no edge. And
Right.
My favorite Saturday Night Live period might be the years when Dana Carvey and David Spade and Chris Rock and Schneider and Norm Macdonald, they're all there, and they're all stand-ups.
Yeah.
And Adam Sandler. So they could work together and they could build that kind of comedy, whereas almost every Saturday Night Live hasn't had, that I know of, a real stand-up forever on their show. And when you guys were on MADtv, Frank had to be John Madden and you had to be Connie Chung. They wouldn't give you an actual character.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's something that I feel is missing. That's why I think a lot of sitcoms suck, because they don't have stand-ups that give it some edge. It's all more play acting and comedy sportsy. And I know that comes from a bias, but I think that's also why podcast. Are there any great improv actors who have podcasts? Not that I know of. It's comedians, because we share truth.
Well,
Yeah.
I think part of the comedians is we talk out at an audience, and sketch actors talk to each other and
Yeah.
are part of the
Yeah.
action. Sorry, Bobby, you were going to say something?
Well, I remember one memory. When I was in the 7th grade, I got cast in The Sound of Music, and I played Kurt, one of the middle.
One of the Von Trapp kids?
Yeah, one of the Von Trapp kids. And I remember, so when Fraulein Maria is introducing, we're meeting Fraulein Maria for the first time. You know how they all come down these steps, right? I remember when I left the kind of opening where the audience can see me, the place going crazy. Like people just started laughing, right? And going fucking out of their minds. And I remember walking down the stairs going, you know what I mean? I know they're laughing at me. Also, it's like it became such a weird comedy because I remember asking the director or whoever was doing it, like, can we change the line so you can justify why I'm there?
Right, the adopted Von Trapp kid.
Yeah, or I'm Kurt. I like to play in the sun, or whatever. Or I'm Kurt. I'm really high right now, or whatever. You know what I mean? But and so I remember every show looking forward to walking out to get that laugh. So that was one memory, I guess. Oh, I also want to say this to you, Frank. I'm writing a show for CBS, right?
I didn't know, but I'm interested.
I have a deal there, and you in it. I know you heard it's here first. I know a lot of Hollywood scumbags say to other people, you know what I mean, hey, I want you in my project, but I love you, dude, and I think I know the right place for you on my show.
Oh, all right.
You won't fucking come to LA, fucking
innkeeper?
No, a regular guy.
Oh, I can.
He wants you to play his dad in a biography.
Bobby, you stuck on the road.
You got to come here, Frank. Come on, man.
I'll be out there.
Because if you come here, then you can do Tiger Belly.
Yeah, I've been trying to. Our agent is.
I know, but that's the wrong way to fucking do it. Just text me. I'm your friend.
For months, you wouldn't text me back. You might have been doing it. There are many times where I've texted you and nothing comes back. That's why I was so surprised.
No, here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. When I went to that place in PCS, right? Because I'm like that with everyone. I used to be like that with everyone. But one of the agreements that I had were to be accountable, right? And to be present and mindful of other people's feelings. And so now when people text me, I text everyone back and I communicate with everyone. And I'm trying to be a man of my word and be present. So,
Well, here's the other side of that for me. This is why I always go through agents because for people's shows, because sometimes people want to say no to you and it's easier for them through like they'll say, we don't want you on. And it's easy. I like to give them that out that the producer or the booker can say, oh, we can't fit it in here. So the person doesn't have to feel like they have to put me on. I just don't want to force.
Frank, you're my fucking friend. Why would I fucking not want you on the fucking show? You're Frank Caliendo, you fucking son of a bitch.
You called me Caliendo, I believe.
Yeah, Cali.
It's like Ari Spears talking about Ike. Yeah, Ike Baron Hotz. No, Ike Baron Holtz.
Yeah, he's the one guy that I had a real falling out with, but I don't want to talk about it because.
Let's get into it.
Oh, you just started talking about it.
You can't do that.
Yeah, you can't.
No, I think there's he's gonna kill me.
Then we definitely need to get into it.
No, I mean murder.
Yeah, that's what killing is. Aries makes everyone feel that way, though. Even like when he likes you, because when he's on the show, I always feel like he hates me. At the end, he goes, "Man, that's the most fun I've had in a long time."
Let's practice, crazy. Bobby. Yeah, yo, this is Aries Spears. How you doing, Bobby Lee? Bobby, hey, Bobby, close your eyes because I'm gonna stab you in the head. You're right. I want to kill you.
You want to listen to a good podcast of a guy being an open book. Aries and Andy Steinberg had their podcast for a while. I just had lunch with Andy a little while ago, and he said they had a falling out, but they had one last podcast to hash it out. And Aries starts crying.
Really?
It is unreal. Like if you feel like you're eavesdropping, it's incredible.
Aries is one of the most talented people I've ever met, but he's made no effort and he's had a chip on his shoulder. And I tell him that every time I talk to him, I go, "You're brilliant, dude, but you got mad about everything. You can't get angry."
Well, that's what Andy said. His co-host said, "You've had everything handed to you since you were 16 years old. You've never had to try, and it's backfiring on you right now." And it's like this eye-opening. Like he goes, "All right, you want to talk about it? We'll talk about it." What did you do to him, Bobby?
Well, so when I was on Mad with TV with him for the first 3 years I was on the show, he wouldn't even look at me. not even hello. It was just like almost as if I wasn't even in the fucking room, you know? And then after the third year, he came up to me and goes, I think I can talk to you now. And I'm like, what? Fuck you. You know what I mean? But then, you know, so we would have like hello kind of a relationship. And then I didn't see him for many years. And I think, and I would talk shit behind his back on radio shows and say,
might have. That's why I want to stab him. I heard what he said on Rover.
I'm not making up lies. I'm just being honest. I'm you know, he wasn't, you know, he was not a pleasant person to be around.
He's tough. He's very.
He was tough toward me, and I don't give a fuck. That's
he would actually text me, Frank, how you making all this money, man? I'd be like, I'm up at 4 a.m. going to do radio.
Yeah.
And he goes, but how else? No, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm getting up and doing every radio station on the East Coast to sell the tickets, but there's got to be something else.
Yeah. So a year ago, he asked me, yo, man, can I get on Tagabelly? And I go, no, absolutely not. And then, no, it started, before that, before that, you remember we did that MADtv reunion?
I refuse to be a part of it.
Okay, there was a new MADtv show, right? And so some of us did it. Ike and I did a sketch.
How bad was it?
Aries, and so one day I was there with Aries, and he goes, yo, man, come over here. And I'm like, what the fuck? And he played me back radio shows that I talk shit behind his back.
Edited together like a produced piece. No, this is Aries Spears introducing Bobby Lee and his bullshit.
Yeah, and
I hate Bobby Lee, right?
And I had never like, that was like, so he was so confrontational, and also we're in makeup.
Who were you?
I was playing
John McCain,
blind kung fu master. But, you know, I had this like, you know, wig cap on, and this like, you know, Japanese robe.
And who is he, Mandela? Tell me, please.
I don't know. And then he was just like, he was playing it back, and I couldn't leave. You know, you can't leave. So it's just like I had to like absorb. He's like, why are you like that? And I'm like, I'm just being, Aries, I'm sorry. I'm just completely honest, you know. And then he asked to do the podcast, and I said no. And then apparently people have told me that he wants to hurt me.
Wow.
So
we'll find somebody to defend you, because I won't. But we could find somebody.
I don't.
How big is there? How big is Mr. Spears? Like, is he 6 feet tall? What is he?
He's an intimidating presence without great size.
Yeah.
No, I know, but he's a big guy. He's big. When you're like Bobby's size, the only way you can talk trash about somebody is behind their back. You can't say it to their face because they're going to beat the shit out of you. So a big guy will always go, how, you know, that dude talks behind my back. Yeah, that's the only safety someone like Bobby has. I mean, am I off on this?
It's a survival. Yeah. I talk shit behind me because I'll get crushed, but
But were you really talking shit, or were you just being honest, and that's part of your therapy and how you're supposed to go about things, or is it a little bit of both?
I mean, I can restrain myself and not bring his name up, or you know, or add on to a conversation when being asked, you know. But,
like Terry Spears, like change his name slightly, Terry Sears.
Yeah, but you know, I talk about, you know, that he never really had a day job. You know, at 16, he did Def Jam. He got MADtv at what, 20 years old?
Well, he'd already been on that Glenn Fry TV show. It was making like $75,000 a year.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, $75,000 an episode, or $50,000 an episode, or something.
Yeah. So it's like I, you know, had worked construction and waited tables for years, worked at coffee shops, and I know what it's like to be out there working, you know, and he was handed everything. And so I think that, you know, we just are two people that have two different kinds of ideologies and personalities that don't really.
By the way, before you finish, Toledo, after the show, send this to Aries Spears.
Immediately. Don't worry about it.
I've already clipped the parts out, and I've already sent them over. So expect a response soon.
We're going to have real lifetime Aries Spears in the show. If I could just find his number, because he changes his phone number so much, I would.
You know what, dude? If you could get Aries to do this, I might be able to do it.
With him? You want us
Yeah,
to
hash
protect
it out.
him?
Maybe we could hash it out on here.
Yeah.
You
All
like
right,
that?
I'll text him. All right. Nah, he'll never be able to figure out.
Don't text him now. Let me think about it.
Honestly, he changes his phone number so often. Like I'll get a new, like every 6 months. I don't know if he's running from somebody or what. But like, yeah, this is Aries Spears, and I got a new phone number. Use this one now.
Yeah. Or so, how long do we do this for? Because I got to go eat lunch.
Oh, we're good. We're good. We were finished. We stopped recording like half an hour ago.
But hey, guys. But Frank, honestly, this is the honest truth. Whenever you fucking text me, I'll text you back. I love you, man. I really do.
What about the other guys? Because I gave them your number too. So
yeah, any of you guys, if you guys ever need anything, just call me. You guys, we're friends. Come on, man.
Texting now.
All right, Bobby. Well, get your lunch. This was awesome. You are an open book. It makes it a lot of fun. I think you'll make some new friends, and you'll definitely have an enemy that's finding you after the show.
And I swear to God, Frank, next time you're in LA, I will fucking move people to have you on.
But why you have the CBS show? Why can't you just give me the show? Why can't you be Anthony Russo of Korea and be like, hey, CBS, hey, CBS, that's Bobby Lee. Yes,
because
Caliendo's
because I'm in it with like there's other showrunners.
Did you say schmucks?
Showrunners. It's my deal, but you know what I mean. You have other.
No, it's awesome. I appreciate it.
It is.
I appreciate you even thinking of me.
I love you, man. Bye, guys.
Bye, Bobby. Thank you. Click. He's frozen.
I thought he did the Naked Gun. It was the Police Squad.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Bobby.
There's the.
All right. I guess Salehi missed a big portion of the beginning of the show. I don't know if we're going to need that. We need to do it.
Salehi. Well, the first question is going to be, who's Bobby Lee?
Yeah, like 45 minutes.
Bring him in. I think he's waiting.
There you go. Fire him in.
Can he just come in? He's in the Salehi.
There he is.
You missed a whole bunch, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
What did you get? Because I didn't see you at the beginning. So what did you? Were there any references and things that you needed to explain to you?
The guy he had beef with, I had never heard of.
Harry Spears.
Yeah, Harry Spears.
You just broke Harry Spears' heart.
It sounds like we've done that throughout this show. So.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah. Was there anything else? Or was just kind of nothing?
That was really it. I've actually have heard of him from like Pineapple Express and movies like that. But yeah, no, it was really just Harry Spears. Was at least from what I was.
Are you calling him Harry's Spears?
That's better. That's better.
Is it? Yes, exactly. That's. Yeah.
It's one of the guys from One Dimension, I think, is who Sean thinks that. Harry Spears. Sean, are you a pothead? Are you a smoker?
No.
Oh, okay. Pineapple Express being how you know people, maybe one.
No, it's just a funny movie.
It is, but yeah. It's extra fun.
Are you a pineapple head?
I can enjoy a nice pineapple.